All right, I believe we are live. Let's make sure it comes up first.
I'm gonna refresh.
I really need to learn OBS with an Apple computer.
Oh God, I don't even like OBS on a PC, let alone on a Mac.
Yeah, everyone says on a Mac it's just like terrible.
Yeah. Have you ever looked into Streamlabs?
Yeah, I think what's his name was talking to me about that. Oh, yeah, we are live. Okay, cool. There we go. So we are live, episode number 18 with Mr. Logan Exhales. So
I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
It's not live for me though.
I refreshed it. I have it on the whatever this is, control board or something on YouTube, and it's live.
It still says it's waiting 2 minutes for me. I'm just gonna exit right out. I just want to make sure I have it up for the chat.
Live chat going. We'll wait a second since we had to end the last one for everyone or for a couple people to get in here.
It says live on my screen on my phone.
Does it have? Can you see it on YouTube yet?
No, I completely exited it out, so I'm reloading it up right now.
Okay.
It still had like the timer going before.
Let's see.
Technology is great, right? Until it doesn't do what you want it to do.
Yeah. I hate technology. I hate
Me too, man.
computers.
Me too.
I'm terrible with them. I'm learning. Yeah, I told them, I said, hey man, let me out with this with OBS and everything. And James came on here one day and he's helped me out for a good 30 minutes. And he goes, wait, are you using an Apple? I was like, yeah. He's like, all right, never mind. So we were sitting there trying to figure it out. He's like, I don't know why the hell it did not work. I don't know. He's like, wait, you're using Apple, aren't you? I was like, yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I had to pull up the other one. I'm not with you, though, I don't think. It's just me. It's just, oh, there we go. Okay. All right, cool. It looks live to me. It looks good.
Okay. Wait, never mind. Okay, now Shane's coming on. Go back to that Zoom one. We'll end this one and we'll go to the Zoom one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how to exit. Okay,
never mind. We'll keep this one. We'll keep this one. I'll send the link to him.
Okay.
Because he might have
it's your show, man. However you want to do it, I'm game.
All right. Find Shane somewhere. All right, there we go. All right, so if you want to, you can go ahead and go through your buffet real quick, and then we'll go from there.
Cool. Buffet time. It's like my first live buffet, and it's gonna be super disappointing. I picked up one of those new little Joytech Exceed grips recently, and I don't know. It's not doing too bad. I've just got like I think it's a 0.6 coil head they give you for like the tank section, and I've been rocking that with some last bit of this Omega from Alternative. It's like a lemonade menthol. It's kind of weird, but it's kind of good. A little throwback on a Tesla Invader 3 with a Wasp Nano on the top. I broke into my girlfriend's 30 ml stash here, and I got this blue raspberry go-go juice. I don't know. I was feeling like a candy vape, and she hogs all the candy vapes. And then just for more potentiometers, I've got this Dovpo MVV
Nice.
special edition with the Samurai, Dead Rabbit SQ sitting on top with this Nana's Berries from New Norm. Some Nana's Berries for you.
Ooh.
And that's it. That's my buffet. It's just little pocket guy and potentiometers.
Nice. Shane should be coming on here soon. I'm gonna go through mine. It's pretty much kind of what I had yesterday. A couple of different things. I got the dead goat on top of the Bonza.
Nice. Love the goat.
Yeah, I'm a clamp guy, and that's all I really use. But the dead rabbit and the dead goat, I really liked with the drop down.
Yeah, dude. I like the build deck on the rabbits, all of them.
Yeah. So I got that with the Shamrock cookie from Sad Boy. Got a little bit left in there, so I'm just trying to finish that out. Then I'm gonna start using that some of the Clown's liquid. Next, I got the M Turk on top of the NATO.
Nice. I was just looking at that mech.
Oh yeah, if you want to get it from Vapor's Cloud. I don't know if they
Vapor's
still
Cloud?
have them on sale, but I know they're made by Vapor's Cloud and Asylum Mods, but they had them on sale for like $35, and everywhere else you're looking, they're like 100 and something probably. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think they were right around, I was looking on EVC, and I think they were like right around 100. I was looking at that just the other day.
Yeah, like it, and I know it's not a hybrid, and everyone's like, "Oh, there must be a lot of battery drop." This is probably one of my hardest hitting mods right now. I love this thing.
Yeah.
But
I mean, there's a lot of things that go into voltage drop and battery sag, so.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then I got the Apocalypse 25 on top of my Purge Twisted. Always got that.
Just mechs for days. Mechs on mechs. Well done, sir.
Some Marcellus. Yeah, I don't really use much of the variable voltage. I always, every time I do my my buffet on here, I'm like, man, all I use is mechs, I guess. But that's really all I really use.
Tubes on tubes, bro. There's nothing wrong with that.
And then next, I got this right here, my Stew Crew cap with my Goon 1.5. And I patinaed it with the Saint mod from Times Vape. Did all the patina on it. Kept the original wood on those. But really been liking this. I didn't really like it the first time, like I said, but I really like it. I like how the kind of like clouds are around it or something. But
yeah, that's sick.
Straw nanner inside there. Some good.
You like that ripe? You like the ripe line?
Yeah, I've had a couple of their liquids that are good, and I've had a couple that are kind of throaty, I guess you could say.
Yeah. That's how I felt about. I think I've only tried one or two of them, but I remember just not digging it.
Yeah,
really.
Like the strawberry banana one, it's pretty good. And then I got the kiwi dragon fruit because everyone's like, man, it's so good. And I'm like, all right, I'll try it. And I tried it. And I'm like, dude, this feels like a 6 milligram. I can't do this. So I gave it to a buddy, and he's like, man, I'm going to try to tough through it. I'm going to tough it out.
I'm just going to tough it out. I'm just going to vape it to vape it.
I was like,
yeah, I don't know. I have like probably I don't even know how many bottles down here that I have that I've just been trying to give away at this point. We used to get a lot of sample boxes, and it just got to the point where I've accumulated so many 30 mil bottles that I've opened, dripped like once, and then just put down.
Mm-hmm. Like I'll drip them for like an hour, and I'm like, yep, I'm gonna switch it.
Yeah. I've definitely done the same thing a number of times, and I know a girl who's gonna come over one of these days and steal them all from me. She just hasn't gotten her ass over here to get them.
Yeah,
keep bugging her. I'm like, come get these. They're free. You just got to go across town.
Yeah, I need to do the same thing with bought a whole line of liquid from, I think it was Awesome Town, and I'm like, man, this isn't all that great. Oh, look who decided to show up.
Sorry.
Is that the man? That's the man.
Well, Shane,
Yeah,
I guess
sorry,
you're
I was
here. You can
asleep.
go ahead and do your buffet.
Oh no, y'all are fine. We can skip buffets. I'm already 30 minutes late.
Well, you go ahead and do your buffet. I know you
That's
got
okay, dude. We were 30 minutes late, so it's okay.
Oh, well, all right. Pretty much the same as
Yeah.
last night. It's Dreamer Ardent. In there is Shamrock Cookie. Got the Axial on the Mr. Just Right. And All Day Merge Transmission. Dead Goat on the Keen.
Oh, I'm waiting on my key, man.
Yep. With, well, where is it? Oh, yeah, that one's got Shamrock Cookie. Or not Shamrock Cookie, Butter Cookie by Sad Boy. And I got the profile on the Shogun with that DHD matchy drip tip. And in there I've got some Bubs from IVC. And the profile Unity on the Axial. I mean, on the Aegis Legend. And in there I have Parade Maker from IVC. So that's me.
All right. So some of the things I want to bring up today, instead of bringing up articles, because there's a couple good articles out there, but a lot of them are, like I always say, we just hear the same thing. We just hear the same thing. So, yeah, I mean, it kind of, you don't want to lose interest in people. So today we're going to talk to Logan about some vaping stuff and see how he kind of feels about some of the new laws and everything. So the first one we were probably going to bring up was the Tobacco 21, and to see what kind of his stance was on the Tobacco 21 and if he thought it was good or bad, or the exemptions, or what he kind of thought about it. So what was your thoughts on it, Logan?
Tobacco 21, T21. Well, I want to start by saying that I understand the parent side of T21 and why a lot of people want T21. Their whole premise is that you have 18-year-old entrepreneurs going and buying, whatever, whether it's cigarettes or vape products, whatever it is, and then selling them to the younger kids at school. And I understand that. I understand that they think that if they raise that age, that they're going to negate that process, that they're somehow going to be able to cancel that high school black market, if you will. But I was drinking at 15.
Mm-hmm.
Alcohol has been 21 for my whole life. I'm 28 years old. I just turned 28. But I was drinking at 15. We had people that would buy us 30 packs of Keystone or 30 packs of Bush or whatever, and we would party. And I was smoking at 15. So, I mean, when I look at it, I understand their logic, I guess, to a degree. I understand that that's what they think will work. The reality of the situation is that it won't. It's not going to do anything. The CDC in 2017 said that 30% of high schoolers drank and 14% of them binge drank. Alcohol is illegal for anybody under 21. So how is it that almost a third of high school students were drinking anyway? So that's how I feel about it. I guess it's not going to do anything. It's just it's like a Band-Aid that they want to put on to puff out their chest and say that they've accomplished something and that they've worked so hard to reduce the youth vaping epidemic. The epidemic. You can't say epidemic, air quotes. And it's not going to do anything. It'll make it harder, but we don't give high schoolers, we don't give teenagers enough credit as to how crafty they are. If as a teenager, if I wanted my hands on something, whether that was alcohol or cigarettes or, back then cannabis, I would get it. It was that simple, whether it was legal or illegal. I found a way. So if I can do it at 15 years old, idiot me, then any 15-year-old can go do it. Raising the age isn't going to help.
Yeah, like I've came home before on some stuff, and yeah, I came home and my mom's like, "Why are your eyes so red?" I'm like, "Oh, I had a bad day. I was crying."
Allergies.
Yeah, I mean, like
Forgot.
I've used that excuse for too much, but I think it was like winter, so she's like, "Bullshit." I was like, "I've had a bad day. I've been crying. I got bullied. I can't remember what I said. It was something like that." And then she was just like, "Oh, okay." And it's like the teen mind, we come up with comebacks and excuses. So
Kids are crafty, man, and you know we as a parent, you know, I have 2 kids. They're not teenagers yet, thank goodness. But like you put a lot of faith in your kids, you know, to do the right things and whatever. And at the end of the day, they're gonna do what they're gonna do. They're gonna lie. They're gonna try to sneak. They're gonna try to go out with their friends and do whatever it is. That's part of being a teenager. And I think a lot of what this whole thing comes down to is that we've forgotten that kids are kids. Like teenagers are teenagers. I was that way. We were all that way. If we wanted to try and get away with something, we were going to try and get away with something. And it was that simple. And we were going to find a way to do it.
Yep.
So the T21 thing, I think it's just it's a political act to puff out their chest and say that they've got the situation under control and that they're doing something about it. And it's all just a numbers game. Like they're all just getting votes. That's it. You know, they're trying to make goody with all the parents, and that's it. You know.
yeah, I feel the same way about that because it's like if it really worked, then why couldn't it have been working whenever it was 18? Like I always bring it up, especially at work, because I try to relate anything that happens in life to anything possible. Like with the government and vaping, I relate that to work all the time. Like my boss is like, "Oh, we're putting these new rules in effect." I'm like, "Why are we going to put new rules in effect if the last one's been at work?" He's like, "Well, these are more standardized and we're going to have them written out." I'm like, "Okay, why don't we just do that for the old rules and make that what needs to be done instead of piling thousands and thousands of rules and then we start losing track of what we got? Why don't we just go back to the basics and say, hey, these are the rules, we're implementing them, and this is what we're doing. Not, hey, let's throw another one in there just to see if it works. It's no, do what you already have, but just push it. That's what honestly I think should everything in life.
Yeah. Use what you have, but make what you have work.
Yep. Right. Enforce the laws that are already here. And that's one thing that blows my mind. Like we already can't enforce these laws, like you were saying about the rules at work. We already can't enforce these laws. What makes you think that we're going to enforce these new laws?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I go back though, like their whole argument is the whole 18-year-old senior entrepreneurs. If these 18-year-olds are already crafty enough to go do whatever and make money selling to kids, they're going to find a way to still get their hands on the product. They're just going to turn into the middleman and then still sell them at school.
Yeah.
Dude, it's simple economics. Like it just blows my mind that they think, I don't even know if they really believe that it's going to work. I don't think they really believe it's going to work. I think it's literally just a political dog and pony show to make goody with parents and make them feel better and make them feel safer in their white picket fence homes, and everything's going to be okay because now the law says 21.
Yeah. Even though nobody's abiding by the law, it says it's 21.
Right.
Yeah, that's
you know,
and everything. Like if you're speeding and you don't get a ticket, you're not gonna not keep, or you're not gonna quit speeding. You're gonna keep speeding. If it's 60 miles per hour, you keep going 80. If you don't get caught, you're gonna keep doing it until you get caught. It's just the same way with like all these other rules. It's, people are gonna do what they want.
I mean, caught. If you're a kid or a teenager who's a risk taker, like that's it. You know what I mean? You're going to find a way to do whatever you want to do. You're going to take those risks, whether that be smoking or vaping or speeding or, you know, I don't know. For me, it was skateboarding when I was a kid, you know, so we were risk takers. That's what we were attracted to, and we found a way to do whatever it was that we wanted to do.
Yeah, I used to skate too, and you would see those signs. Hey, no skateboarding here. It's like, okay, let's see how.
Those are the best spots.
Oh yeah, it was always the best spots. The spots that had stairs, rails.
That's why there's a sign, because they even know it's the best spot to skate, so they want to put up a sign.
Mm-hmm. Our actual town, we had a. They were building a new park, and what they did was they were going to put a skate park in there because they had a problem with so many skaters, and they're like, well, we can't keep y'all out of it. Let's just make somewhere new for y'all to skate. And honestly, I think it would have been a good idea, but then I guess there wasn't that much skaters anymore and yada yada. But yeah, I mean, it was something that could have honestly helped.
I've just switched over to the longboard, and I just cruise now. I skate with my kids. I teach my kids stuff, and I just cruise around with them. After they put a metal plate and 8 screws in my ankle for what I did to it, my skating days kind of went. But it just goes back to being a risk taker. If you were a kid that was attracted, or a teenager who was attracted to risky things, you found a way to get a hold of it. You found a way to go do it. You found a way to sneak out of the house. You found a way to get a pack of cigarettes. You found a way to get a 30-pack of beer. You found a way to, you just found a way, whether it was illegal or not. So I think the whole T21 thing just comes down to a political dog and pony show. That's it. It's all for votes. It's all to make these claims that they've accomplished something, and that's it.
Yeah. So what do you think about the what is it called? Where they're letting like military or people who
like military exemptions?
Yeah, exemptions. There we go. What do you think about the exemptions?
I mean, obviously, yeah. If you're at the age of 18, I think everything should be an exemption for military. If we're going to keep going down this route, like if you can go and die and fight for your country, you should have a beer. You should be able to smoke a cigarette. You should be able to have a vape. You should be able to do all of those things. We either have to make those military exceptions, or we have to make everything clear-cut one age. If you want to make everything 21, then you can't join the military till you're 21. That's my thought. Like, if you want to say 21 is when you are officially an adult in this country, you shouldn't be allowed to join the military then until you're 21. You shouldn't be allowed to die for the rights that you're trying to protect if you don't even have them yet.
Yeah, and that's right. In Texas, a legal adult for a male is 17. But yet you can't vote, you can't buy alcohol, you can't buy tobacco. And to me, I mean, like, it's like, well, that's just crazy. But then, like, you look at some states where they're like, oh, well, the teenage brain, yada, yada, this and that about the teenage brain. But then yet they're trying to make it to where you can vote by the age of 16. And it's like, I know.
Those are rats' brains.
But, I mean, I know
there's
not going to be a whole lot of 16-year-olds voting, but I mean, they might. But think about it. If they're going to sit there
and say not.
The teenage brain isn't fully developed and all this and that, and we can't even trust them to make a decision about smoking. Well, but we're going to let them have a decision on who they want in office just because they might hear something that the guy said was cool.
Yeah.
They might have seen a YouTube video of them doing something.
I think that's because teenagers are easily influenced, and so they're easily politically swayed. And if we can get, their ideas, if we can get these 16-year-olds who, basically will believe anything we tell them, if we can make them feel good about their political choices and get them to vote that young, then,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep.
The whole teen brain thing, man, it all comes from studies on rats. There's no clinical trials on humans as far as nicotine damaging the developing brain. Everything that we've seen on studies about nicotine and the human brain point to the exact opposite. They point to attention and memory and focus increases, cognitive increases all around. Nicotine works on the prefrontal cortex, which is where all of that takes place. They're learning about Alzheimer's. They're learning about dementia, any kind of early onset cognitive impairment. Nicotine is helping with. But the studies that show that adolescent cognitive impairment, if you will, those are all studies done on rats. There's no clinical studies right now prove that on the human brain.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I think is crazy too. Is how can you make a statement that they say is scientifically proven, but yet it's not scientifically proven on a human, what you're trying to say the statement is for. Say, oh, we did a study on a rat, but we're going to say that this is what would happen to someone who's way bigger than a rat. It's like that makes no sense.
Right.
The brain's bigger, all the muscles, all the different functions of a body are different. But yet,
the human brain is much more complex. And when it comes to animal studies on rats or for anything at all, mice are a good jumping off point, just because a rat or a mouse's brain is developed enough that we can see chemical changes occurring in that brain. So it's a starting point for science, but it's not a definitive endpoint. And that's basically the claims that they're trying to make off of these studies. They're not doing their due diligence. They're not going about it in a complete way. They're just, where the starting point is, that's where they're ending it.
Yeah, it's kind of like some of the vaping ones where they're saying, oh, well, you're getting all these chemicals if you burn it for this long. It's like, well, yeah, you can get those chemicals from grilling your meat. You can get that chemical from putting any kind of heat into anything. It's who's going to sit there and vape with, okay, hey, I know I just got a dry hit. Let me keep vaping and get more hit.
Yeah, the formaldehyde thing. Stanton Glantz is a joke.
Oh, yeah.
I'll just say it right there. I'll just put it out there. Stanton Glantz is a joke. Yeah, he's a big pharma paid for scientist, and that's all it comes down to. You know, they pay him to find the dangers in vaping, not actually study vaping, but look and seek the dangers of vaping through any means necessary.
Right.
So Shane, I know you have like 20 minutes before you got to go. You got some stuff you got to do. Is there any questions or anything you want to talk about before you pop off?
Let's see. I was checking the vape news to see if anything updated the last couple of days.
Nope. I just checked it. I think the last one was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, June 5th.
Yeah.
And then June 3rd, the Candy King recall.
I heard about the Candy King recall, but I haven't really looked into it. I'm not sure what's going on, but I did see that in passing.
Yeah, let me pull it up. We'll see what's happening. I know that it was incorrect nicotine levels.
Is it just for Candy King or is it for Drip More altogether?
It just says on here Candy King.
Okay.
Recall 4 lots of Candy King Worms e-liquid. Company says contains higher concentration of nicotine than what's stated on the label.
Yeah, that's no bueno.
Yeah. Dripmore says its misbranded e-liquid was produced by a contract manufacturer.
Oh, so they basically contracted it out because they couldn't keep up with whatever they were currently doing, contracted it out to somebody else, and then somebody else fucked it up.
Yeah, but I mean, even if you contract something out, you need to make sure you test it. Because I know, like, I have a buddy who works for Dr. Pepper and Coca-Cola, and I mean, it's no huge secret, but there's times where both of them are shorthanded, so they kind of just, hey, well, I need you to run some Dr. Pepper products for us over at your plant. Here's the formula. And it's just, but he said as soon as that stuff came in, they had to test it like right away. If there was one thing missing, one thing wrong, it would hit them. So, I mean, it's honestly,
it definitely. I mean, it comes back on Candy King. 100%, it comes back on them. It's their product. Doesn't matter.
Right.
Doesn't matter. Which set of hands were in there to make it. And, at the end of the day, it's their label. It's their product. They're responsible for it.
Yeah.
Yep.
How do y'all feel about their new labeling? Because I know that they've been changing labels, and I know there's been a lot of places changing labels. And how do you feel about some of the new labels? Do you think that they're still a little overboard?
I have not seen the new Candy King labels, so I can't speak much for Candy King on that. I've been impressed by a lot of companies lately, though, as far as rebranding goes. Kilo being a big one. Kilo's new branding is fantastic. I'm a big fan of their branding now. I think a lot of companies need to get away from like the cartoonish things. And I get it. And I don't know. I get torn here because it's also freedom of speech. You know, you can't tell people that they can't have that on there because they have the right to put it on there. You know, it's like telling somebody what you can and can't like. You know, I like cartoons. I'm a 28-year-old man, and I enjoy cartoons. I watch cartoons with my kids. I watch cartoons on my own. I like cartoons. You know what I mean? If I wanted to have an e-liquid line and I liked cartoons and I wanted to put what I like on my e-liquid line, I should be allowed to do that. That's freedom of speech. That's something I should be allowed to do. But at the same time, right now in this industry, is it appropriate for what we're going through? No, I don't think so. I think it's a personal responsibility to say, okay, even though I like this and even though I want this, I shouldn't put this on here because I have a responsibility to this community and to this industry to have more mature branding.
Yeah.
Right.
One thing I want to give a huge shout out to is all the vape shops. Even if you ever look at any vape shop that makes liquid there or they make it in a lab and it comes there, all of their branding is like super simple, like the IVC stuff. There's nothing that's like super outrageous.
Yeah, there you go. There's
IVC,
some just plain.
Now I can kind of speak about that a little bit. I think a lot of that comes from cost.
Yeah.
As well. The more simple, the less colors that you have. Just going back into like basic logo design aspects. You know, the less amount of colors that you have, different colors. Keeping it simple, it's more cost effective in the long run for printing and all of that. So I think a lot of shops that make their own liquids and have their own labels and branding printed out, you see it more simple. Mainly, I think because it's more cost effective.
Yeah, like I know my shop down the road from me, it's like I could literally walk there and it would take me 2 minutes. It's at the end of my neighborhood. And their label is super simple, super clean, but it's like the most basic information possible. It has the warning on there. It has the what flavor you got. It has the nicotine, PGP, and it has a outline of Texas, and it says Freedom Vapor. That's about it.
Now, the only thing, honestly, out of everything that I would like to see on labels now is whether or not that liquid contains sucralose.
Yes,
that's what I want to see. I think out of everything else, I just want to know if it has sucralose in it. Just from a standpoint of I want to know. Like there are a lot of people out there who are diabetic that affects, that can't vape sweeter juices due to sucralose being in them as a sweetener. And you know, and obviously when you have liquids that have more sweeteners and stuff in it, you know pretty quickly just by the taste, but you can look right at your coils and your cotton within a day and be like, oh, this liquid is just loaded. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's something that I would like to know. I'd like to know if that liquid has sucralose. I don't need, you know, the exact chemicals of the flavoring, because nothing that we buy ever has what the actual flavoring is. If you look at any nutrition label on food or whatever it is, it always just says artificial flavors.
Yep.
Natural flavors. So I don't even think we're ever going to see that ever in any industry. But I would like to know if the liquid has sucralose as a sweetener.
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast,
and like Oh My Lanta just said. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you. Yes, I know, Dan, that it would cost a ton of money to do. I 100% agree that it would cost way too much money to relabel everything, whether or not it had sucralose in it. I understand that. I know it's not going to happen. It's just something that I would personally like to see and personally like to know. Like, I know it's not going to happen, but sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Cut you off.
But yeah, like I was listening to a podcast on SoundCloud, because that's where I listen to the Culture Cloud, another vaping one, and they were talking about that also, about how there's how it should show what's in there, like if there's sucralose or diacetyl or anything like that, diacetyl, however you say it.
I don't give a crap about diacetyl.
Yeah,
To be honest with you, I mean, there's hundreds of times the amount of diacetyl in cigarettes. I mean, it's something that we as vapors should not even bat an eye at whether or not there's diacetyl in our e-liquids.
Yeah,
you're not going to get popcorn lung. It's okay.
Just for labeling purposes, just so that way, anyone who might be like a weird allergy or anything, or like honestly, cool if they put on there where they got their stuff from, or if you can go to their website and say it says, "Hey, our nicotine is this nicotine. Our PG and VG come from here." I know that they're not going to do that because they don't want to give out their recipes, but I mean, just at least the nicotine, PG and VG, because there's some nicotines that honestly I'll try in a liquid. And I'm like, I don't like that liquid because I can taste a difference in the nicotine in it. And
yeah. And that's the quality of the nicotine.
Yeah.
That's like a lot of these smaller e-juice companies, Vape Wild and what is that, Dollar E-Juice Club. Their nicotine is a lot more harsh than, say, IVC or, Flawless. These people, I've noticed that their nicotine's a lot more smooth, but that stuff from Vape Wild and Dollar E-Juice Club is very harsh. A 6 milligram.
I think that comes down to the quality.
Yeah,
the quality of the nicotine that they're using.
It's more of gives it more of a cinnamon flavor,
like a peppery taste.
If that peppery kind of taste, if it's real harsh. Because I found a little bottle and I was using 6 milligram from that Dollar E-Juice Club in this Nord, and it was giving me a throat hit like a 50 milligram salt nic.
Damn.
So Dan put in chat.
I've been trying to get away from salt nicks.
Yeah, we are too.
Yeah. So Dan put in here, he put, "Do you guys think we need nutritional facts on juice?" And then he said, or just talking more in depth ingredients on the bottle. To me, I don't think on the bottle, but if you could at least have it up on the website. Like I'm not saying
that would be nice.
Yeah, don't put out your recipe and everything, because if you do, then a lot of people clone your recipe and you might have something that someone really wants. But just put out there like, "Hey, this is this and that and yada yada," just so that way people know. Because I mean, there's certain things people like and certain things people don't like. So I mean, if they already know, "Hey, I don't like this nicotine from this company," but you put on there, "Hey, I have it from this one," it saves them $1 from buying it, and then they can maybe buy something else that they like from y'all.
Yeah, I don't know as though we need nutritional facts, Dan. Like, I'm not worried about the calories in my e-liquid. Saturated fat 0. Like, I don't need to know all that. I think for me, it just comes down to I know a lot of people who are diabetic, so the sucralose thing is one thing that just rings in my head a lot about liquids. And it's one of those things, like, if you don't know and you go to a shop and you can request, "Hey, like a house liquid or whatever, no extra sweetener in it, no nothing like that." You can make those kind of requests with a shop. But if you go and you buy a premium e-liquid and you don't know that there's a buttload of sucralose in that liquid and it gives you problems, now you're out, $20-$25 that you just spent on that 60 ml bottle at that shop, and that's kind of a bummer, So I think about people who have special needs like that. Like, there's a lot of people out there too that don't know that nichrome wire contains nickel. And a lot of people have nickel allergies, and I got to give a shout out to Grim and Homeboy for the goat, because right on the back it says, "Warning, product uses nickel alloys which may cause irritation to some users. If you have a nickel allergy, do not use this product." And you don't see that on all sorts of like other things, especially with coil builders. Not to knock coil builders. Coil builders, I love you. You're my best friends. But you should, if you're using nichrome, maybe consider a sticker. Maybe consider like this contains nickel on the product somewhere. Just because there's a lot of people out there with nickel allergies. And a lot of people, new vapors, they might not know that nichrome is, nickel and chromium, and they might not know that. They just buy some wire and they, wrap their first coils, and then all of a sudden they're having problems that they've never had before vaping, and
Yeah, and if you take that to a doctor, they're definitely going to give you some shit about it. Oh, it's because you're vaping.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. No, it's my nickel allergy, So I just think that's another thing. Like, I think with respect to people who have those special like dietary needs or allergy needs, those specific things, I think should be on stuff,
And then Dan put in here, on that, do you trust shops that mix in their shop, or do you? And he said, I don't. I want that shit done in the lab.
I agree with Dan. My local shop, they mix in-house, and I've always been kind of back and forth with it because I know all the guys, they're great guys, and I know that they put a lot of hard work into making sure that area and that mixing process stays as clean as possible, but it's never going to be as clean as an ISO certified lab.
Yep.
And when you're going to inhale this and you're going to breathe that into your lungs day in and day out, you need to make sure that it's made in an ISO certified clean lab.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's a lot of shops that are just trying, especially right now, that are just trying to stay afloat with everything going on. These shops can't afford to have their liquid mixed in these labs, and they're just trying to stay afloat as is. You know what I mean? These guys are just doing the best they can. So it's a tough one, man. It's like, do you kick them while they're down and say, no, you got to stop that, and you got to stop making money, and you got to do it this way? I mean, yeah, we probably should, but I don't want to be the guy that has to tell them that. You know?
Like my local shop, they mix in-house, and their area is really clean. He has a little pad thing he puts out every day. He switches it out every day. If he does a big spit, or say if he like knocks something over, he changes it. He wipes it down after every time. He cleans all of the droppers after every time, and they make sure they keep everything closed and organized. And the thing is you could actually, he doesn't want you to, but I mean, I go back there and talk to him all the time, but like he keeps that area kind of restricted from anyone to touch because it's behind the wall. But like I could go back there and watch him mix it right there in front of me, and that's something like someone asked him one time, well, how do you mix it? I want to make sure that you do this or that. I don't want to make sure there's nothing dirty in there. He's like, you can come back there and watch me. Honestly, I think it's really cool. But then it's something like a little shop like that. They make stuff more to needs. Like they'll double flavor, they'll double sweetener, they'll like the nicotine level at that shop, they go anywhere from 0 to 24 and anything in between from 1 through that. And it's something I really like that they do. But yeah, it would be awesome if they could do it in a lab. But I mean, whenever you can go in there and get a 2 milligram or a 4 or a 5 instead of the 3 and 6 and 9, it's something that's a little bit cooler because you can make sure you get something made exactly to your needs or what you want to do.
Yeah, and I think that's the trade-off. You have you're trading like convenience, basically the convenience to be able to say this is what I want, this is what I need. For you're kind of that the trade-off is that it's not going to be made in a clean lab.
Yeah. Yep. So Shane, do you have anything else? I know you only got like 5 more minutes.
All right, so new question I'm gonna ask every guest, and Logan, you get to be the guinea pig here. So
I'll be the guinea
everybody,
pig too, man.
Everybody vapes differently. I know Jay and I are kind of more mech heavy. I know you like RDAs, but is it more about flavor or is it more about clouds?
I go for both. I guess for me, it's just kind of whatever I'm feeling. I have my super cloudy setups. If I really want to blow clouds, I'll put a set of Halens in the Vaporous and just chuck. But there's no flavor there. If I want to go for more flavor or whatever, I'll throw something in the Wasp Nano or in my Rabbit or the Drop or in my Recurve or whatever. It's kind of one, it depends on what liquid I want to vape. And 2, I guess I enjoy it all really. So I don't really have like a preference. per se.
Or what keeps you off of cigarettes? Because like for me, it's not the. I guess you could say it's the flavor because I mean it does taste way better than a cigarette, but it for me what's more satisfying to me and satisfy my needs the most is the not the throat hit or anything like that, but the density of the cloud. If I have something like a single coil and I'm not getting a good dense cloud, I mean it might not be much, but if it's a dense cloud and it's like dense whenever I exhale, I like that. But like whenever like me, if my batteries if they're 75%, they're not cutting it for me. Like my battery is usually 100 to 60%, if that, because there's times where like it has to be a dense cloud or else it's just not satisfying me. And I mean, it doesn't even have to be huge. It's just the density of it going into my lungs and coming out to me is something that's really satisfying to me. Because I mean, the nicotine, honestly, if it was zero nicotine and it's just a dense cloud, to me, it's fine. If it just doesn't matter to me. It's just the dense cloud that keeps me satisfied.
Yeah, I'm definitely not satisfied with zero. I've tried. I've tried. I gotta have nicotine. I guess at the end of the day, though, really the number one thing that keeps me from smoking is my kids. You know, my family. That's my answer. That's my number one. That's my number one thing. I smoked for 11 years. I smoke a pack to 2 packs a day. I was a Camel guy. And I'm actually coming up on my 2-year vape-iversary, if you will, here on August 1st. But one day, I was outside playing with my kids. We were running around. We were playing tag. And like 5 minutes into it, I was winded. I couldn't breathe. And so I went and the first thing I did, obviously, I went down, I sat down on the porch and I smoked a cigarette. My kids were playing or whatever. And it just hit me like somebody took a brick and just smashed it into my face. And all I could see was myself as the dad hooked up to oxygen, the dad in a wheelchair, the dad in a hospital. And that was it. That was it for me. I walked upstairs. I told my girlfriend, I was like, hey, I'm going to go out for just a minute. I'll be right back. I down to the vape shop that was in town. I bought myself this Aspire kit. It was like a little Aspire Clado tank and like a tube mod. And 6 days later, I was done smoking.
Nice.
That was, I made that choice. I was like, I still need something. And I didn't even really know a lot about vaping at the time. I had actually tried to quit with an Enjoy King, the Enjoy Kings, years and years ago. And I failed miserably. I tried quitting with Nicorette gum. I tried like every flavor of Nicorette gum back then. I bought like one thing of the lozenges. And the only thing I did with the lozenges and gum was smoke the whole time.
Yeah.
I would just chew the gum and smoke. And at one point,
there was no satisfaction to it at all.
None at all. And even the Enjoy Kings that I had tried, because I was like, okay, well, it's still like a cigarette. Maybe it'll help. And back then, even that didn't do it for me. So for a long time, I had actually kind of written off vaping because I didn't know what was out there. I didn't know the extent of what was out there. All I knew was gas station e-cigarettes. I was like, okay, that's vaping, you know, and it wasn't something that I saw regularly either. I didn't see people blowing big clouds and stuff like that. So I had actually kind of written vaping off at one point as a way to get away from cigarettes. And then I worked with a guy who DIY'd his own liquid, and he was all clouds, just clouds for days. And I remember sitting and talking with him one day. I went working with him, and I was like, how does that work, man? And he like showed it to me. And it kind of was enough to like pique my interest. I was like, okay, so there's more to this like electronic cigarette vaping thing than just these little gas station cigarettes. And then that day that it hit me, I was just like, we have a vape shop in town. I'm going to go down. I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to buy something, and I'm going to give it a shot. And I bought 2 liquids. I bought a strawberry lemonade, and I bought a raspberry coconut cheesecake. And that was it. 6 days later, I was done smoking, and that was it for me.
Nice. So Shane, I know you got to go. You want to hit him with your exit?
Yep. Thank y'all. Thanks, Logan, for coming on once again.
Absolutely,
Sorry I was
man.
late.
That's all right, man. It's all right.
The recliner sleep was very good.
The party didn't start till you got here anyway, brother.
All right, man. Well, y'all have a good one, and I'll holler at y'all after a while.
All right. See you.
Much love, sir. Take care.
You too.
So Logan, what you were talking about whenever you said how you stopped vaping or you stopped smoking, and what keeps you on vaping is your kids. Honestly, I've never, or I don't want to say never heard that answer. I mean, I've heard that answer, but here on this show, that's never really been an answer. It's usually, oh, I stopped, I stopped, and this is what keeps me satisfied. Like I know Thick Nick, he's like, well, yeah, I mean, the scare from cigarettes keeps me off of cigarettes, and vaping, but what keeps me off of it is the salt nick or with this or that. And someone's like, oh, well, this setup or that setup. But that's a really good answer that, hey, well, I mean, it is my kids, because that's what most of the people, if you look at most of the people who quit, they usually have kids and they're, hey, I quit because I have kids and I want to see them live. I couldn't run around with them. And people who don't have kids are like, hey, I just want to be able to be more active. I mean, that's a really good answer though.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I try to get my hands into everything that I can with vaping. It's kind of that old addict thing, you know, like chasing the dragon. Basically, I'm kind of just chasing the better vape at this point. So I get my hands into everything. I enjoy it all. I enjoy mouth to lung vapes. I'm on the fence still about salt nicks because they kind of give me like a tight chest feeling that I don't really enjoy. If I vape them for a long time, like if I vape salt nicks throughout the whole day, I get a really tight chest from it. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that's the benzoic acid in it or whatever. But as far as like styles of vaping, I enjoy them all for different reasons.
Same.
But I mean, at the end of the day, I still crave cigarettes. You know, 2 years later, and I know a lot of people might think that's crazy or might disagree. I think personally that a lot of us still do. And it's not the taste of a cigarette. It's not the smell of a cigarette that I still crave. It's the effectiveness of a cigarette that I still crave. Because no matter what, like if I have a really shitty day, I will come home and just chain vape my face off because I'm looking for that, like that feeling of instant relief that I used to get from lighting up a cigarette. Like I could have the worst moment in the world and you light up a cigarette and you're just like, okay. And like, and that was it. And so for me, it's not the flavors that keep me vaping and away from cigarettes. It's not big clouds. It's not salt nicks or whatever. It's my kids. And so I spend a lot of my time just kind of, okay, well, you know, I want to vape like this today, or I want to vape like that. And I'll have a bunch of different things going. And yeah, it really just comes down to, it keeps me busy. It's something to chase, and it occupies me enough, and it's enough satisfaction to keep me here instead of smoking.
Yeah.
And that's for my kids.
Yeah. And Clownette, or on Clown Vape, Clownette said, I vape zero nicotine to curb my sweet craves and to help me with my anxiety. With that, I honestly know a couple bodybuilders who, because when you're doing like prep for like a show, I actually know one that just had a show today and he did really well at, but he vapes 0 milligram nicotine because you can't eat any of that crap while you're doing that. You're pretty much on like a rice and chicken and vegetable diet and oatmeal and stuff like that and protein powders. But to keep him to where he wanted to still be able to get some kind of something for his sweet tooth is instead of getting candy, we'll
vapes, yeah,
candy flavored liquid. And I know at least a handful personally that vape because of that. And then I've actually seen some pro bodybuilders that actually do that too. So that's something that's definitely I see a lot of.
Oh yeah.
And the anxiety thing, I don't know about zero. I can see 0 milligram helping with anxiety because, I mean, you're taking a deep breath, you're relaxing. It's just something to help you relax. But
And it's also a distraction, I think, too. So when it comes to people with anxiety, a lot of times finding things to distract you away from whatever is giving you anxiety,
Yep.
really benefits. So having a vape, being able to sit down, do something with your hands, be distracted by clouds, whatever it is, be distracted by that experience. That could definitely be a thing that helps people.
Yeah,
like
the fidget spinners and everything. But for
oh yeah.
Like me, like you were talking about salt.
This is my fidget spinner. This little guy right here, dude, has become my fidget spinner these past couple of days because I'm that way. I'm that way.
Yeah,
it used to just be my phone. My phone would sit in my hand and just spin around, and
yeah, same here.
Or a pen. It used to be like my lighter. Back when I smoked, my lighter would be my fidget spinner.
Or a pack of cigarettes, just sitting there spinning it. Yeah. Like for me, when you were talking about salt nicks, for me, like I'll be sitting in my office whenever I used to use like the Orion and stuff like that. I would sit in my office, and honestly, there's times where I would sit there and I'd take a little hit. And I mean, I know I shouldn't, but there's times where I would sneak off and take a little hit, or like on the production floor, we got fans everywhere and steam. I would just blow it where that is, and no one would could tell. But I found myself with salt nicks that I was getting worse anxiety. I don't know what it was, but like I'd be sitting there, I'd be typing on the computer, doing a report.
Your brain craves it more.
My body is just like wanting to not smash my computer, but it's like, hey, get up, go walk around, don't stare at your screen no more. I'm like, what the hell? Like usually I could just sit here and do this, get this report done, I'll be done. But this time I would have to walk away like 5 times because salt nicks for some reason were like, I don't know what it was, but like my anxiety was like through the roof whenever I was using salt nicks, and I didn't like it. And I think
that's a.
I was using like 12.
Yeah, I think that comes down to how efficient salt nicks are as far as getting nicotine to your brain. So you go from a smoker where a cigarette is chemically engineered to deliver nicotine to your brain in less than 10 seconds. A tobacco cigarette is still to this day the most effective nicotine delivery system on the planet, and that's just a cold hard fact that we all need to accept. Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting so much closer, but it's still not there. And so when you go from being a smoker and you get that rush of nicotine, or you get that really quick instant satisfaction of nicotine, and then you go from that to vaping. And a lot of us, started vaping, and a lot of people started vaping before salt nicks were even a thing. And so a lot of us too vape 3 milligram, so you go all the way down to 3 milligram, and that the way that your body has now learned to get its nicotine and has become acclimated how it gets its nicotine and how often it gets its nicotine. When you put salt nicks into that mix, you're getting back closer to where you were when you were a smoker, as far as that effectiveness of that nicotine getting to your brain. And so your brain starts to remember that and kind of like crave that again. And so you kind of reintroduce that, like those heavier cravings back into your system,
Yeah.
And I'm not knocking Nick salts, because Nick salts have a place. They have a place in this industry.
Definitely.
Even a lot of people hate Juul. They hate on Juul. Juul has a place in this industry. Juul has transitioned millions of people off of traditional tobacco cigarettes onto vapor products, and that is a win. That's a win all day long. You can hate Juul all you want. I don't always agree with Juul's methods and what they're doing, but at the end of the day, that's still a much, much safer product for people than smoking. And so salt nicks are one of those things, like, should they be here? Technically, I honestly don't know if salt nicks, if Juul had that out prior to August 8th, 2016. I'm not sure. I believe they did. I'm pretty sure they did. But they have a place. They have a place. It's a good thing for getting smokers off of cigarettes. It's a great starting point. I personally suggest to people, like, start there. You're gonna get your nicotine. It's gonna help. Once you're off of cigarettes, consider going down. Don't force people. Don't be like, you have to stop juuling and you have to vape how I vape. No, but I would still suggest. I would still say, hey, consider going down. Consider maybe lowering that down, getting off the salt nicks. But at the end of the day, though, what are you going to say to somebody? Like, if the Juul is the one thing that keeps somebody off of smoking, that's just as good as anything else. Like, by all means, Juul all day, as long as you're not smoking. Juul your face off. Just Juul all day.
Yeah. So were you satisfied before Salt Nicks? Like, honestly, because I know how you were saying is you were kind of chasing the better vape, always chasing something better. And I think that's why a lot of vapors now that you see who have some, like even Vapor Swaggins, he has some high dollar mechs and some high dollar setups, but then you look at it where he's like, hey, I have a Salt Nick pod and I've been using it and I keep grabbing for it. It's like, I think everyone wanted something new and it was something new. So everyone's like, hey, let me try that. And then everyone got hooked. And I'm glad I'm off it. I'm not like you said, I'm not knocking Salt Nicks. It has its place, but I'm glad I don't use them because I don't find myself having those little weird anxiety things where I'm like, hey, I need to go outside now. I'm like,
right.
But were you satisfied?
And I think that's it's a personal choice that you have to let people make, Yep. I think that's what it just comes down to. It's a personal choice that you have to let people make. And if they want to vape 50 milligram Salt Nicks and that's what keeps them off of cigarettes, then we as a community don't have any right to tell them to stop doing that. We should still encourage that just as much as anything else. I mean, yeah, we should, maybe we should suggest, hey, try going down. I quit on 18 milligram freebase. That's where I quit. That was what I
quit on like 12, but I wasn't a smoker. So like you were saying, you crave cigarettes still. I think I don't crave cigarettes. I never really did. I smoked, but I mean, I only smoked for like 2 years or a year, but I dipped for like 6 years. And 6 years of dipping, once I got back into vaping, I never craved dip at all. Like my buddy, like I have most of my buddies, they all dip. We live in a little country town. A lot of my buddies dipped. Like, hey man, here you go, here, and they'll throw me the can. I'm like, I'm good. Like they're like, hey man, fine, just do it. I'm still like, no, I'm good. I mean, I don't have any. I don't feel like I need it. That's just me though.
Yeah,
the cigarettes
and dipping and smokeless tobacco in general is still miles away from being as harmful as smoking a cigarette is. Smokeless tobacco is definitely a harm reduction alternative to cigarettes. Actually, I mean, really, there's a lot of misperceptions about like oral cancers and things like that when it comes to smokeless tobacco. A lot of that stems from hygiene and not necessarily the tobacco itself. It stems from sores from dipping in the same spot repeatedly, from not keeping your gums clean, things like that, which is where a lot of those increases in cancer risk come from. Yes, there's still cancer risk there, but it's so much lower. You have exponentially higher cancer risk smoking a cigarette, oral cancer risk smoking cigarettes, than you do from smokeless tobacco.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, like I was just saying, it's like I honestly never have the craving to dip, but that's just me. And I don't ever have a craving to smoke. And believe me, there's hundreds of people, or not hundreds, but there's at least like half of the people that I work with, they all still smoke. And we're about to go through a smoke-free campus to where you can't smoke or vape. And everyone's kind of like, what am I supposed to do? And we have a boss who's like, he's out there.
Leave
like,
campus.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's the whole thing now is if you step foot off campus, you have to be off the clock. And if you're not off the clock, you can get terminated. So it's just like, huh.
I would consider maybe something like snooze then.
Yeah.
Consider something like snooze. Yeah, I would look into snooze.
Well, I mean, I guess it's not really smoke-free, but we're going to a tobacco-free campus. The whole thing is they're like, because I brought it up. I was like, okay, well, I mean, I'm going to stick up for the people who make their own decisions. They vape, they smoke, they dip, whatever they want to do. But it's like, well, okay, if this guy can't smoke, then how come this guy can dip? Or how come this guy can sit here and chew a nicotine gum or use a nicotine lozenge or whatever? But it's like, how are we going to let them do that? But yet you're telling us we can't smoke, vape, dip, whatever, or we can't smoke or vape, but yet these people who do it differently, how come they can do it? So they went on and they said, okay, what's a tobacco-free, nicotine-free campus? But then I'm like, okay, well, so we're going to ban, because we're moving into like a healthier company, healthier wellness bullshit stuff. And I said, well, if it's really going to be healthier and more wellness, why are we getting rid of vaping? They said, oh, well, the Clean Air Act and all this other stuff. I was like, okay, but there's no secondhand effect from it at all, and that's proven. It doesn't stink. So, if someone bitches about you blowing vape near them, don't go blow vape to someone's face, but if the wind takes.
Yeah, be polite, obviously. But yeah.
Yeah.
As far as NIOSH or OSHA is concerned, all toxicants, airborne toxicants or whatever from vapor products, all fall well below the Air Indoor Act and the standards for those, well below. So any and all policies against indoor vaping or outdoor vaping or vaping in public or whatever is just based on misperception. It's people that are ill-informed and they don't have a fundamental understanding of nicotine alternatives. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
A lot of people just, they see the cloud. They see something that looks like smoke and they just assume it's the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or all they pay attention to is the news, and they hear all these terrible stories, and that's it, Yeah. And it's a shame. Our media is definitely to blame for just about everything we're going through.
Yeah, and like I always bring up to them, well, if we're really moving into wellness and healthier lifestyle, why are we going to take something that's the 2 times more effective NRT product and the thing that is 95% healthier for you and safer? I always just bring it up just to bring it up. I know they're not going to change it. There's no way that they're going to change it because it can be corporate wide. We already got plants that are already doing it. But I'm like, honestly, it's something that they need to consider. It's, hey, well, there is something.
Absolutely.
Like it's like we always say on any of the channels you watch, any vape reviewer or any vape advocate, don't take our word for it. Go research it yourself. That's why I told them. I was like, hey, just don't take my word for it. I'm just putting it in your brain so that way maybe one day you'll look it up. But why don't you research it and tell them, hey, maybe we should take a different stance to this. But that's just me.
I've taken a little bit of a different approach to that. I used to be like, yeah, do research yourself, do your due diligence. And then one day I went on Google and I typed in, is vaping safer than smoking? And you basically have to dig through about 8 pages of Google before you actually find actual third-party peer-reviewed scientific evidence states otherwise. Everything you're going to find leading up to that is just going to be bullshit US media and propaganda and misinformation. And so when you tell people to go do their due diligence and to go research for themselves, they're going to look at those first, whatever pages and find all of the bad stuff because our media is excellent at blowing it up. And that's what they're going to come up with. So, I basically tell people like, look, I can give you, I can give you the studies. I can point you in the right direction. Because when you just send people out on their own to research it, they're going to come back and they're going to say, oh yeah, dude, I watched all sorts of stuff about how bad vaping is.
Yeah. So
I try not to send people out blind because especially here in the States, when you send people out blind, that's what they're going to come back with. They're going to come back with all the bad.
Yeah, because people are lazy. They're going to look up the first thing that they pop up, they're going to look at. But like what I do is on my computer, I have a bunch of links already saved. And I just send them the file. So that way I'm like, hey, this is what I'm talking about. But just so that you can read it for yourself. Do you want me to send it to you? And most times like, yeah, just send it to me. And I'll send it to them so that way they can actually look at it. But yeah, like you said, it's bad. Like we always do say, yeah, do this and that. But that's why we drop a lot of links in chat. And
the best thing that you can do is give people the direction.
Yep.
Show them where to start looking for that information, because going into it blind, it's not pretty, man. If you were to just go onto Google right now and just type in, is vaping safer than smoking? You're just going to be buried under bad news.
Yep.
And so when we say that to people, when we're like, yeah, go do your due diligence, go research it for yourself, we're almost setting ourselves up to fail when we do that, because that's what they're going to come back with. So we really need to give them a direction. You got to be like, read Nicotine Without Smoke, read that report, read X, Y, and Z reports, read stuff from Public Health England, read stuff from New Zealand, read those reports, read science from countries that aren't funded by tobacco. our country is funded by tobacco.
Yep. So the next.
So don't start here. Don't start in this country when you're looking for evidence.
Because there's other countries out there that in 5 years from now they want to be smoke free. There's another country that wants to be smoke free by 25 years. So I mean, there's a lot of good countries out there that you need to research. But the next topic I want to talk about is sales tax. But before I get to that, I want to give a huge shout out to Clown Vape. He is in chat right now. He is a sponsor of this channel or of this show, The Weekend Wisdom, and use code WISDOM for 10% off on all your purchases of any of his clown coils or any of his Mr. J's liquids. Go get you some Mint Me. Go get you some of his strawberry. I think it's Tyson's blend. Those are both really good. I know he has rectum balls coming out soon. Definitely go check him out. His coils, I got some right here. Coils are amazing. They hit really hard, and probably some of my favorite coils out of some of the bigger coil builders too.
Yeah, and Kleiner just said our country is funded by pharma. I would definitely agree with that statement as well.
Oh yeah,
it's funded by both. I mean, if you were to sit down and look at state by state SA payments, and you were to sit down and look at state by state tobacco taxes, or states that have tobacco bonds, like California, for instance, you really don't have to go much further to find out why they're doing this to vaping, why they're trying to ban flavors, why they're trying to reduce vaping just all around. Because, I mean, 2018 we saw an 8.8% sales drop in tobacco cigarettes, and that number equates out to something I think around $72 billion with a B, billion with a B, and that's a lot of money. That's less than 10%. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's a lot of money, and definitely there's a lot of big pharma influence for sure. I think big pharma is actually our bigger enemy, really, than tobacco. You know, big pharma. When you're talking about Campaign for Tobacco Free Kids, which is the Johnson Foundation, which is Johnson & Johnson. Yeah, absolutely. They're 100% funded by Johnson & Johnson. Johnson & Johnson wants you to quit using their products, not these vapor products that aren't, FDA approved and backed by all this and that. And basically your doctor is not going to get a cutback if you switch to vaping. That's the bottom line.
The thing that I kind of like before we move into like a sales tax talk is before they get FDA approved, right now they have to pretty much fight with us, which is something that's really good. Because I mean, you look at what they did with Colorado for like the sales tax and all the flavor ban stuff. They actually fought with them. But the thing is once they get it FDA approved, I honestly don't think that they'll fight with us. I think they'll start fighting against us and start saying, "Oh yeah." I mean, they're good, but they're not FDA approved like us. And I think that now we should have everything FDA approved. So right now, it is the ones that aren't FDA approved, they're going to have to fight with us to fight this, to be able to get their products out there. Until then, they're fighting with us. But then after they get it done, it's like, do we really think that they'll still be around? Because honestly, I don't think they'll still be around. I think right after they get FDA approved, they're going to start pulling something else out. Like, yeah, we'll fight with y'all, but y'all aren't FDA approved, so we're going to start fighting for that too. And then it's pretty much going to be, we're going to be separated again, is what I think.
Yeah. And we're the only country that has a PMTA process. Mm-hmm. That is a unique thing to America, is the PMTA process, and it's absurd. It's crazy, and that's why they do it, because they know that no liquid manufacturer or hardware manufacturer or anybody is going to be able to get anything approved. And the kicker is that you're going to spend millions of dollars on one product, one e-liquid, one flavor, in one size, in 1 milligram. Not necessarily like not 1 milligram, but like 1 milligram option, like whether it be 3 or a 6 or a 12 or whatever it is. That's going to be one product, one SKU, one single product, and that's going to cost you an ungodly amount of money, and that's just to apply.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then
there's no guarantee. You could pour everything you've ever made into getting this one liquid one liquid through the PMTA process, and they just say no.
Yeah, if you look at places like companies like this and stuff like that, it would be easier for them because most times there's some companies that have a 60 mil option and then they have the 100 mil option. And then that's going to be two separate SKUs just for that one flavor for that one nicotine level. But then you look at like vape shops, like my vape shop, like I said, they have anywhere from 0 to 24 and all the numbers in between, plus all the flavors they make in-house. Plus they have
all the sizes.
Yeah, 5, 10,
thousands of
30.
SKUs.
Yeah, so I mean, it's crazy. So I mean, it's going to be hard. I know that there's no company that can honestly even do it alone for like a big manufacturing company, but like the little vape shops, they're definitely going to be out of it because of all the stuff.
And what it's going to come down to, which is going to open up a whole new can of worms, is separating vapor products from tobacco.
Mm-hmm.
I know that Michigan just did this in a very reluctant way. And that's what it's going to take. It's going to take this not being a tobacco product federally. The only other problem with that is once we take these out of tobacco control, tobacco product control and regulation, we have a clean slate. We're leaving legislators and lawmakers with a clean slate to work with, and that could be even worse, really honestly, than it being a tobacco product.
Yeah, because tobacco products, like we said, the FDA and all of them, they kind of are supported by them, and the government is. So they kind of don't do too much because, or they try to do a lot, but then they don't try to do as much because of them being tied together. But I can't remember what show it was, but they were talking about it also, where they said, "Hey, well, yeah, we just had this happen, but it could be good and it could be bad. It could be good for us, as in we're not getting tied in with them, but then it could be bad because they can throw a whole new thing at us, and cigarettes could be looked at as a better alternative, pretty much."
I mean, basically what it comes down to is, okay, now that it's not a tobacco product and we can avoid the PMTA process, great. Now they can regulate it to a point where now there's a 400% tax applied to it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Everybody will go out of business.
Oh yeah. Yep.
You know, so that's where when we separate ourselves, it's a good thing, but it leaves us very vulnerable to what could happen next.
Yeah, definitely. So sales tax, what are your like? There's certain sales tax I approve of, and there's certain sales tax that I really don't. Or there's a lot that I really don't like. Like me and Thick Nick, we've talked about it before, and he talked about it yesterday on here, or on the vape chili, was the one in Arlington, Texas, where they said, "Hey, well, we're gonna put a sale like a 9% or some. So there was some kind of tax. It wasn't that high, but it was a little bit of a tax to where they were trying to get it to where they could get better training for police officers on how to deal with people with mental illnesses and not thinking that they're on drugs and they're crazy, because they actually shot someone and killed them because they thought the guy was on drugs and he was crazy, but it ends up being that he just had a mental illness. I mean, stuff like that, yeah, I approve of. But then there's some where they're like, "Hey, well, we're going to put this back into something where it's going to be into a cancer research facility." And we're like, okay, cool. But wait, that goes back to the people who were fighting against or who are talking crap about vaping. And then the other part of the sales tax, or the other half of the sales tax, they said was going to go into school or funding schools on teaching teens and kids about how vaping and smoking are bad for you. And yeah, I'm okay with them saying vaping's bad for you to a kid and a teen. But then whenever you start doing it to the public, to the adults, it's kind of like, yeah, I mean, yeah, you should tell your kids, "Hey, this is not for you. You should not do this." But I mean, we need to get the real facts out there to kids, teens, and everything. Like, don't sit there and sugarcoat it and say, "Yeah, well, smoking's bad, but you can vape because it's better for you." No, you still shouldn't vape. You still shouldn't put anything in your body, but it's a safer alternative for people who are trying to look for something safer than smoking a traditional cigarette.
Right. It boils down to education. It boils down to, basically educating kids to what they should and shouldn't do. and educating your teenagers as to what they should and shouldn't do. And a lot of that comes down to it's against the law, for one. It's against the law. But yeah, I think it all just comes down to education. And when we talk about those taxes and we talk about things like MSA payments, which were supposed to go to healthcare, to Medicaid, to Medicare, to tobacco prevention, to new cessation products. That's where MSA payments were initially supposed to go, was to combat all the bad things that tobacco companies did and lied about and caused. And it turns out that like most states, it's like less than 10% of their MSA payments actually do any of that. Yeah. And then you go, okay, well, maybe it's going to fix the roads. No, it's not going to fix the roads. Well, maybe it's going to the schools. No, the teachers are still in debt. It's not going to the schools. It's going in investments. It's going to insurance companies. It's going in politicians' pockets. That's where it's going. And that's the problem. If these taxes and these MSA payments were actually going to where they were supposed to be going, we wouldn't be where we are right now.
Yeah, because there's already sales taxes on other things that are supposed to be going to them. And like you said, you still see the roads look like crap. You still see teachers in debt. You still see all these other places that they say they're going to saying, hey, well, we're out of money. We can't do any more research development. We can't do any more of this or that. So, I mean, like you said, it's not going where it needs to be.
No, it's not going to where it needs to be. And that's one of the biggest problems. Yeah. Because then, it's going in somebody's pocket and then they're going, oh, now we don't have money for this or that and the other. We need more. Well, it didn't go to where it was supposed to go to begin with. So we shouldn't be giving you any more, but that's what we do. We just keep giving more. Yeah. And it's a shame. Yeah. There's a way that things are supposed to be, and there's a way that things are, and they don't remotely reflect each other at all.
Yeah. So I'm just taking not really a wild guess, but I'm just saying I'm guaranteeing you're not huge on the taxes.
I think to a degree, states do need to make money, and if these taxes were going where they were supposed to be going, I would be for reasonable taxes. When we talk about taxes, like, okay, we're going to tax it, 5 cents per milliliter. Okay, your 60 ml bottle just went up. What's that? Like $1.50?
Yeah.
Okay. But when we start talking about, we're going to tax it 75%, we're going to tax it 85%, and then we're going to stick a 50% floor tax on it, and we're going to do all this crazy stuff. You're not even talking about getting any of that money, because all it's going to do is shut shops down. You're not going to get any of the taxes back on it anyway.
Yeah, I guarantee you.
And that's what blows my mind, is they think they're going to get all the money this way, or maybe they don't even think that. Maybe they just know that if we put this tax on it, they'll be forced to close. And I think that's really the real reality, is they're not trying to get these bills passed for the sake of actually making money off it. They're trying to get these bills passed because they know it's going to close shops.
Yeah, and honestly, I think they're doing it on purpose because of that, because they want to see them close down. But yet again,
100%, yeah.
They say, okay, yeah, well, we're just doing it because we're putting it into this, but then it's like, if they know that the money's not going to go where it's going to need to go, they're say it's going here to make it seem better to the public. But pretty much all they're doing is trying to close down shop, and it's like, for me, it's scary. I honestly don't buy much from a shop, but it's scary to think that when they do that to that, and then you already see, hey, well, now they're doing wholesale tax. Now they're already doing online bans. Now they're already doing online taxes. It's crazy because, I mean, like, even like Stan, he doesn't sell to certain states because they have certain bans that you can't buy online and bring it into there. So there's a lot of things where it's already hurting people like that. It's already hurting people who just do online sales, like Clown. He does an online distro. It's already hurting him. You might not see it now because it might be 1 or 2 states, but once it starts getting up to 10, 20, 30 states, it's going to be bad, because those people, if you sell to them, you can probably still do it. But once you get caught, it's probably not going to be good on you, because they're going to either shut you down, or you're going to get a huge fine to where you can't pay for it and going to have to shut down.
I'm a regular at the shop here in my town, my local shop, and the people that I see regularly in there are 50, 60-year-olds.
Yep.
You know, that I see a lot of those people, people that are foreign to the internet, people that don't use the internet, people that, you know, the older generation that's just not acclimated to ordering things online. That generation is going to suffer a massive loss in opportunity to better their lives when these shops close. You know, a lot of us will still be able to order online. You know, we'll find a way. We'll DIY. But you know, 62-year-old Betty Sue, who's been smoking for 45 years and is trying to quit. You know, she's still got a flip phone, or she's still got a house phone.
Yep.
You know, and no internet. And she had found vaping, and that's worked for her. And dear old Betty Sue is, you know, 6 months without a cigarette right now, and her local shop closes. What do you think old Betty Sue's going to do?
She's going to straight back.
She's going to go right back to smoking, man.
Yep.
And Betty Sue's family is going to, you know, suffer that.
Yep.
And that's, to me, that right there is just a tragedy in itself.
Yeah, because
so,
I mean,
I think that's a generation that we don't talk about a lot as a vaping community, and I think it's just so important. I use the hashtag Let's Be Grandparents someday on my Twitter a lot, because I think that's so important. Like we focus a lot on ourselves growing older, and saying, you know, I want to be here longer for my kids. I want to live longer. You know, I want to make it there, but we're not talking about that generation right now. We're not seeking to help that generation as much as we can. And it's also the hardest generation to reach, period, because when you've got somebody who's been smoking for 55 years or something like that, and they're pushing 70, 80 years old, it's hard for that generation to cling on to technology. Yeah. And it's such a struggle. And that's one of those places where I fully support things like the Juul and things like really simple closed pod systems, because that generation can benefit from those products so much. And we're talking about people's parents. We're talking about people's grandparents. We're talking about the backbones of some people's families.
Yep.
And we need to stay focused on those people. You know, we can't just think about our generation. We can't just think about saving kids. Like, it's frustrating to me, you know, like, yeah. Why are we just kind of dismissing this huge generation of people? You know,
yeah,
because parents don't want to be parents and parent their children. And now we have to sacrifice other people's parents and other people's grandparents.
Yep.
Because we don't want to parent our kids.
That makes perfect sense, because I mean, I've somewhat thought about it that way, but not as in depth. And that's something that I honestly see up at our shop a lot too, is anywhere from, I would say, 35 and up is where I see at my shop.
Yeah.
And there's people in there, like there's this guy in there, he's probably at least, I don't know, 65, 70. He has I don't even know what kind of, oh no, he uses one of the Ego batteries, but the thicker ones, the bigger Ego looking batteries. He uses one of those, and he uses the small little skinny Aspire tank, and he's been using that for a long time. And whenever I got off of cigarettes, is honestly that's one of the tanks that really helped me the most, and that's all he uses. And he has 2 flavors he gets, and he goes in there, he gets his coils, he gets his flavors, and he kind of just like he just comes in and talks for a while. And it's really cool to see people like that. And I actually asked him last time, like, well, do you know all this stuff that's going on about vaping? He's like, yeah, I see what's going on the news, but I don't really get on the internet much. So, I mean, they see it, and he's like, it sucks because places like this that are ran by good people that are following the rules are about to suffer. And I told him, I was like, well, I mean, I kind of gave him more of like what's going on with it. And he was like, yeah, I don't know what I would do. He's like, I don't know how to make this stuff. He's like, I'm pretty sure I can get in contact with the guy who makes it here, and he could show me where to order it, or I could have him order it. I could pick it up from him, and then I could do it myself, or he could just show me or whatever. But I mean, it's just like, yeah, we always say we want to have it for the next generation. We always want to have it for the next generation. But that is really true that we have to have it for the generation now, because if we don't have it for the generation now, then it's just going to look worse on us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these products just have to stay around.
Yeah.
I think they will. I think they're going to change. I think we're going to see a lot of changes in the marketplace in the next few years for sure. I don't think vapor products are going to leave the market completely. I just think we're going to see massive changes.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and like you said, we're all okay with regulation and taxes at reasonable amounts. It's one thing that everyone says is at reasonable amounts, because when you're doing 95% taxes, there's no way no one can pay for that.
Yeah, and I think another thing to be talked about though is we also need to fight every step of the way against any of those taxes. Period, though, because once it's that old saying: once you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile.
Yep.
So if you say, okay, well, it's reasonable that we tax it like this for now. Just wait till the next session, because the next session there's going to be another one, and then there's going to be another one, and then there's going to be another one. So we can't ever stop and say, okay, this is reasonable, because they're going to take advantage of that. So we honestly need to fight against every single one of them and just cut our losses along the way.
Yeah.
Because the second that we become complacent in whatever tax they put on something, they're going to go for more.
Yeah, because I mean, you look at the places that right now already have like a 12 or 10% tax. They're like, yeah, we already have a 10, 12% tax. It's fine. But then those are the places you hear about the most that are getting a new one, like you just said. So I mean, we always need to be on our toes, and we always need to be watching for what's going on around us and around the world, like in the U.S. mainly, because like I always say, if something happens to a big state that has a lot of political pull and a lot of population like California, if they pass a flavor ban statewide, or even just like, yeah, like you said, Washington, if like someplace like that, I mean, it's just crazy how much you see it's going to spread and everything. But
oh yeah. And then once one state gets that nice chunk and they get their win, on some big tax, every state's going to want it too. Mm-hmm. It's just like in 1998, 1999. Oh, I always forget. I get mixed up on when the master settlement agreement finalized. I think it's 1999. But those first states that got those big cuts, like New York, like California, every state just follows suit after that. They just said, "Oh, we want a piece of that money too," and then it just steamrolled from there. So it's the same way. Whenever a state passes a big tax on vapor products, every other state's going to want to do the same thing, because they're going to see that chunk of change, or they think they're going to see that chunk of change.
Yeah. So we're running towards the end of the show. Logan, I really want to thank you for coming on. I know you're spending time on here with me. Time is money, like I always say, and you're spending time away from your family. And I know you want to get out there and get to the camp.
Yeah, I got to go get some beers, and I got to go camping. So,
So, is there anything that you have coming up on your channel, or anything that everyone should be on the lookout for? And if you have for Instagram, Facebook, whatever you want to put in, throw it in the chat. I'm perfectly fine with it.
Yeah, I can throw some links in the chat. Right now, as it stands, I do one episode every week. It goes up Sunday at some point. It's usually pretty late on the East Coast Sunday. My episodes of the Rise and Vape Show, we try some e-liquid. I do a news and advocacy segment. I do smoke-free shout-outs, which is a new thing I've been doing on my show, where I got on Instagram and I ask people to tell me their smoke-free stories, their quit stories, and then I like to share them. I like to shout them out. I like to empower people. I like to remind people of the the better choices that they've made in their lives. And yeah, so check that out, guys. You guys can sub to my channel. If you're not already here in Texas Cloud Town, make sure you sub there first before you go my way. And yeah, join CASA, join an advocacy group that you don't have to pay anything. It's free. I've talked to Alex Clark myself a few times. He's a really great guy. You can sign up for newsletters and stuff like that. But the biggest thing that I can tell anybody out there is to get involved. Share your story, email your representatives. You can find that information on CASA. There's a number of other places that you can go to find that information. You can call your representatives. It's not scary. Don't think it's scary. A lot of people don't want to call because they're afraid to. 9 out of 10 times, you're going to talk to some 22-year-old little secretary who has no idea what's going on, and you're just going to tell your little story, and she's going to relay it, or she's supposed to relay it to your representative. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to get involved, and please do. Please get involved. And that's all I've got. You know, I think that's the most important thing. You know, just your representatives work for you, guys. Please remember that your representatives work for you.
Yep. And
so put them to work.
Teesprings too. So I believe you have coffee mugs up on there.
I do. I don't know if they're still up. I think Teespring's weird. Yeah. I'm gonna do another run of them soon. But yeah, I have mugs up, Rise and Vape Show mugs, just because the original Rise and Vape Show, when it first started, was an Instagram show first thing in the morning, and that's where it got its name. So coffee went hand in hand in the beginning of every episode. And it's not a morning show anymore by any means, but everybody, well, not everybody, but most people like coffee. So I figured it would be a cool little thing to have.
Yeah, I definitely want to order one just because Rising Vape Show, and it honestly look cool in a mug. So
yeah, that's what I thought. I've got a white one coming. I'm pretty stoked for it. So
with that said, definitely go check out Logan. Check out his Instagram. Check out his YouTube, Facebook, everything. Check him out.
It's all just Logan_Exhales. That's all it is. Anywhere you look, if you type in Logan_Exhales, you'll find me.
So make sure y'all check him out for sure. Really cool guy. As y'all, if y'all watched the entire show, y'all saw he's big into advocacy. He really wants to see a big change. He wants to see a change for the better. But for me on my channel, I got another review coming out probably Monday. Maybe 2 reviews this week. I might do a flashback Friday this week also. What I'm gonna start doing is either a mail time or a flashback Friday each week. So be on the lookout for that. It all just depends on how much mail I got in, or if I have an old setup I want to show y'all. But definitely subscribe to me, subscribe to Logan. Go give him a like, go give him a follow, a subscribe, and everything. But other than that, that's all I really got. We'll be back over here next Saturday on the Weekend Wisdom. I don't know about the Saturday after that, just because I'm going to be in Houston. So we'll have to see. We'll definitely have to see on that one.
Ooh. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Tex, for having me on. This was a blast. Oh, much appreciated. Much appreciated.
Until next time, guys, vape on and let's keep it cloudy. See ya.